welcome to a special Halloween edition of the Chillcast. So this special edition, I'm doing it solo. I was gonna invite the other two, but it's Halloween and I don't know what they're doing, and I don't want to have to work things around. So, and if they pop in, if they see me online, they can pop in at any time. So we'll see what happens. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna fly this one solo, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. This is a special review. It's for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And I just want you guys to. It's not doing too good critically, but I don't think the critics understand what the movie's about. Um, it's really hard for a bunch of old dudes to judge a movie based on a video game that's not Mario. Um, and I know some younger, like IGN and all them had reviewed it, but again, they're not very good at reviewing. Um, so me being just a regular person and not a corporate jackass, um, I'm going to be reviewing Five Nights at Freddy's for you, and this is coming from a true fan's perspective and not just somebody trying to make a paycheck. So let's get into it. Directed by Emma Tammy, screenplay by Scott Cawthorn, Seth Cattleback, Emma Tammy. Story by Scott Cawthorn, Chris Lee Hill, Tyler McIntyre. Obviously based on the Five Nights at Freddy's video game franchise. Produced by Scott Cawthorn and Jason Blum. Stars Josh Hutcherson, Elizabeth Leo, Piper Rubio, Mary Stuart Masterson, and Matthew Lillard, the one and only Shaggy. Let's see. Released October 27th, 2023, to Peacock and aka the Cock and movie theaters, from Universal Pictures and Blumhouse. Runs about 109 minutes. Had a budget of $20 million and is at $136.8 million box office already. So, sequel's almost guaranteed at this point. And it left it hanging for one, and we'll get to that later. But, yeah, so you guys know how we do it here. I'm going to warn you now. We are going to be getting into spoiler territory for sure because we're reading from the plot summary. I will take breaks and I'll let you guys know what I thought about certain things. And yeah, so we're in for a wild ride. Um, Gotta get my Sprite on. So we'll get right into it, and then I'll let you guys know my thoughts on it. And oh yeah, one more thing. This is the last Chillcast or movie review that the old Samsung Fold will be involved in. She's been replaced with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So this is her last adventure right here at the Fat Man Gaming. So anyways, let's get into it. Let's see. After assaulting a negligent father whom he mistook for a kidnapper, mall security guard Mike Schmidt is sent to visit career counselor Steve Regland or something. I don't know. Regland. He offers Mike a job as a night guard in an abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Though initially reluctant, Mike accepts the offer after social services threaten to take custody of his younger sister Abby and pass her over to his estranged Aunt Jane. I have an aunt like that, and she's yeah, she's the lowest of the low. We like to say C-U-N-T, but if she ever sees this, you're a C-A-U-N-T. Um, anyways, custody of Abby, okay. On the first night, Mike falls asleep and dreams about his brother Garrett's kidnapping and presumed murder before seeing 5 children who witnessed it. When Mike tries to approach them, they run away. On the second night, Mike's dream is repeated, but when he attempts to confront the children, he is attacked and wakes up. Mike meets police officer Vanessa Shelley, who notices his wounds and patches him up. Vanessa shows him around the restaurant and tells him that It was closed during the 1980s after 5 children were murdered there. Their bodies were never found. So yeah, so it starts off really weird, and the movie is super plot heavy. So and the reason why I think the critics didn't like it is simply because of that. It's really plot heavy, and the movie's filling in the movie's filling in blanks that the video games never gave you. So the video games gave you the straightforward edition to where, and really in the games you kind of had to hunt for lore. You had to read the books and all kinds of things that would tell you the missing pieces. And then you got some stuff, the voicemails and stuff like that in the game. But the movie kind of gives you everything that didn't. So you're getting in bits of lore, and I don't think that the critics liked that because they were, But we'll get into that later. So yeah, so it starts off with Mike. He's super paranoid about this guy, this dad, and he thinks that he's a kidnapper. He's watching closely, and he sees that he starts walking away with this little girl. Well, Mike goes and steps into action, and he tosses the guy into the water fountain and just starts pounding him. I mean, like straight beating the crap out of the guy. He then finds out that it was her dad, and he wasn't just kids get away, and but yeah, he ends up getting fired, and then has to go find a new job, and that's when he's offered the Freddy Fazbear's position, and he's dealing with this really shitty aunt of his that's just and Mike says it too in the movie that she's basically just after the monthly check that they get for her. And I have an aunt like that, and she's a cunt. So, um, but so he then accepts the offer. The reason why he didn't accept the offer was because he couldn't work nights because he's got to be home with Abby. Um, Turns out that he does have a babysitter, so he works something out, and then he ends up taking the job anyways. Um, and yeah, so we go from there. And then yeah, the first night he does have a dream, and he does dream about his brother. I guess, and that's when you find out that his brother was kidnapped. You see that he was playing, and he was supposed to go watch his brother, and then when he goes to finally get his brother, he sees him being driven away in like a black Cadillac style car, an old school car. He chases after him, but he really just sees his brother in the rear window, and that's it. Then he wakes up because the second night the same thing happens. Only one of the kids attacks him and cuts his hand. So I thought that was all cool because now you're getting plot summary that you didn't get from the games. It was just really cool to see all that. So and where it was coming from was just like whoa, like it was already getting intense. So um, yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. Get over here. These guys like to jump around and get onto my stuff. So moving on. Let's see. Uh, Jane Jane hires a group of vandals to trash the restaurant in order to get Mike fired. An act that would enable her to gain custody of Abby. As the break-in occurs, the restaurant animatronics mascots Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Mr. Cupcake come alive and murder the vandals. Among the vandals is Abby's babysitter, Max, whose death results in Mike having to bring Abby to his next shift. So yeah, so that was the next portion of the story right there, where the aunt, she did hire these. Well, he hired the babysitter Max to spy on Mike and Abby to see if there was anything neglectful going on, and she tells the aunt that there's nothing going on. Like Mike's not terrible or any. There's nothing like she can use against him. Um, so that's when Max's brother, who's there, decides, well, what if we trash the place and ruin his job for him? Where they then she then accepts it, and they goes to a $2,000 job to a $1,000 job. Uh, And fast forward to the restaurant, they go in and they start bashing the place up pretty good, breaking pinball machines, breaking windows, breaking tables, chairs, just thrashing it. Um, that's when they meet the first animatronic, which is Mr. Cupcake, because he's banging on a freezer or a closet, something metallic. Probably just like a locker. Yeah, it was probably like some kind of refrigerator. Uh, One of the vandals goes in and he opens the door, and Mr. Cupcake comes out and just starts biting him all over, and yeah, pretty much ends the guy. Um, One of the other guys hears the screams and comes a looking, and when he walks in, that's when he sees Bonnie, or was it Chica? I think it was Chica. It was Chica. He sees Chica, and then Chica immediately gives chase. Then he disappear. He goes running and screaming, and he goes and hides in a closet to where he finds Bonnie, and Bonnie has his way with and ends the other guy. Lastly, we then see. Or no, there was one more. So then we see Max, who's the babysitter. She goes into a room. She sees one of the children, one of the ghost children, and she follows him because he's telling her to come on, follow me, and he takes her to the he makes her follow her down a hallway into where there's like an abandoned like a room. Get out, and she follows him. Well, then she runs into a room where she sees the Freddy Fazbear suit. So she automatically is just like, oh man. So she climbs over there and she goes gets a stool and she climbs up to the Freddy Fazbear suit. She gets pretty close into his mouth slash face area. She peeks in and then all of you see a hand reach out and grab her and it pulls her in and then the Freddy Fazbear suit just closes on her and bites her head off. So that's how she goes. After that, you see the brother who was the last in the group. He then is given chase after he sees. I forgot which one he sees. He sees Bonnie. It freaks him out. He runs away because he realizes, oh man, this thing's looking at me. He gets all the way down to a hallway where there's an exit door. He starts slamming on the exit. The lights start flickering, and then you start hearing the if you played the Freddy Fazbear game or the Five Nights at Freddy games, you know the Foxy hum. He starts hearing Foxy doing his little hum thing, and then gives pursuit. Foxy then eliminates this guy, and then we go to the next scene. So that's where that half of the story ends. Let's see. Yeah, so on the third night, the animatronics come alive and befriend Abby, but are hostile towards Mike. He discovers that the animatronics are possessed by ghosts of the murdered children. So the games hinted that. I mean, they pretty much you got it. So the movie just confirms it. Let's see. They're possessed by the ghosts of the murdered children, whose leader, the blonde boy, constant. I can't read, guys. I'm sorry. My glasses. I need them. Are consistently mentions a yellow rabbit on the fourth night. On the fourth night, Abby is injured while. Oh, my phone. 1 second, guys. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Where did I leave off at? On the fourth night, Abby is injured while she and Mike and Vanessa are bonding with the animatronics during her recovery. During her recovery, Vanessa learns Mike is attempting to identify Garrett's kidnapper and warns him not to bring Abby to the restaurant again. Mike gets Jane to babysit Abby, much to her frustration and Jane's the aunt, just in case you guys forgot. Her frustration as she goes back to the restaurant during the day and overdoses on sleeping pills. Mike goes in and overdoses on sleeping pills so he can try to have the dream again. Inside the dream, the five children appear again and tell Mike that he can stay with Garrett forever in exchange for Abby. During the fifth night, the damaged yellow Freddy animatronic, possessed by the blonde boy, kills Jane and takes Abby back to the restaurant by hitching a ride with a taxi driver. Mike is repeatedly attacked in his dream and it wakes up strapped to animatronic torture device. He escapes by removing pins the previous deceased security guard had loosened, but is severely wounded by Foxy. Vanessa finds Mike and treats his injuries and explains his dream. Oh, and explains his dream. Vanessa reveals that she is the daughter of William Afton, the serial killer who murdered Garrett and the five children by hiding their bodies in the animatronics, and their souls are under his control. Realizing William is planning to murder Abby, Mike rushes to the restaurant and attempts to kill. Oh wait, restaurant with with the necessary equipment to disable the animatronics. At the restaurant, Chica attempts to kill Abby, but Mike arrives and saves her. Mike is attacked by Mr. Cupcake and separated from Abby. The animatronics are eventually defeated, but they are reactivated by Steve, who arrives wearing the yellow rabbit suit. As he reveals himself to be William before so he was the murderer. He was the guy who gave Mike the job is the murderer. Before knocking Mike unconscious. Knowing that the animatronics need to understand the truth, Abby draws a picture of William murdering the children. Vanessa attempts to stop William from interceding with the plan, but is stabbed in the abdomen. Before William can kill Mike, Abby shows her drawing to the animatronics and they turn on William. Mr. Cupcake bites off part of the suit, triggering the internal spring lock mechanisms that fatally wounded William. The animatronics drag him into the back room and Mike and Abby carry a wounded Vanessa out of the restaurant. She falls into a coma afterward and is taken to the hospital. Mike continues to look after Abby as they return to their normal lives. So yeah, so that was the movie, the plot summary in it, and but yeah, it was really good. So it explains that the guy who gave Mike the job was also the restaurant. I don't know if he was the restaurant owner, or if he was just a murderer. But I don't know if I missed it or not. But I do believe he was the restaurant owner too. Yeah, so it turns out that he was Springtrap or Spring Rabbit. I've heard it called both ways, but I like to call it Springtrap. And that he was the person that murdered the five kids and Mike's brother Garrett. So it turns out that he could control the other animatronics with the suit. So after that, Abby draws the picture and she shows the animatronics that's when they turn on him and they activate the suit, the Springtrap, and what it is like a big metal frame, and it's supposed to keep you locked in the suit, but they tighten and they start squeezing into his body, piercing his ribs and his abdomen and all that stuff. So it's slowly killing him. Yeah, it was pretty gruesome. It was, and so yeah, after that, the Freddy drags him off into a distant refrigerator room or a kitchen and shuts the door and locks it. It might have been a janitor closet. And yeah, that's pretty much where the movie. Well, it doesn't end there, but it shows a couple of weeks later or something like that. Mike is at the hospital with Vanessa and telling her that everything's fine, blah blah blah, and just usual sappy stuff. And then that they'll be back, and then it shows Mike and Abby. They're at home, they're eating, getting ready for dinner, and then yeah, it shows pretty much it ending. Little happy ending. It then cuts to the credits where it plays the Five Nights at Freddy's song that you hear on TikTok and YouTube and all that. So that was really awesome to hear that song in the movie. It was really disappointing not to see Markiplier in the movie. Even and he was supposed to be in the movie. And those of you who don't know who that is. Markiplier is one YouTuber who just absolutely made the Five Nights at Freddy games famous. Um, his playthroughs are extremely funny. He's also got Five Nights at Freddy's the musical on YouTube that is fantastic. So if you guys get a chance, go check out Markiplier and go watch those gameplays and the Five Nights at Freddy's the musical because it's really worth a watch. It's hilarious. Um, let's see. Yeah, so then it goes to the credits and it starts playing the song for a little bit. And then you get a little mid-credit scene of the taxi driver, and the taxi driver sitting there, and you hear him knock at the window, and he's like, "No, no, no, we're done. No, not tonight." Um, he then hear the door open, and he's like, "Man, didn't you hear what I said?" I said, "No," and then he immediately jumps in fright, and it's the one and only Balloon Boy, and he's staring at him. So that's where the movie ends. The credits roll through, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, some things that I didn't like about the movie, but I understand why they didn't do it. So the movie was rated PG-13, and they wanted to. I think they wanted to keep it so that kids could see it without it being too violent. So the movie does lack gore. There's not very many gore. A lot of the death scenes, it leaves you to your imagination to what's actually happening. You do see little bits and pieces of like, oh, maybe a little severed hair here or bite marks on certain bodies, but you never really get anything too overly violent. Oh, the cat just grabbed my leg. Um, this guy won't leave me alone. He's always with me. Um, So it's nothing really too violent, but for me, it didn't take away from the greatness of the movie. Again, it did lack gore, but the overall story, I loved the plot to the movie. It was absolutely fantastic. Um, it was probably one of the best horror movies I've seen this year. And it's funny because like Z would say, he's typically more into the gore and all that, and I'm not. Like I don't like movies like Hostel, and it's not because they're overly violent. It's because they go. Well, maybe it is because they're overly violent, but they just go overboard with it, and generally the plot isn't very good, so it makes for like a really shitty movie watch. Um, but this, I liked everything about it. It wasn't overly gory. It left a lot to the imagination. It filled in a lot of blanks that the games didn't tell you. I thought that it completed the story. I loved the animatronics. They looked fantastic. There was also some stuff that came out online where the directors of the movie said that every once in a while, the animatronics would move on their own on set, and it kind of freaked everybody out. Also, the Foxy animatronic burst into flames on set, so that was all cool. I hope they do a behind the scenes or a making of the movie because that'd be awesome to see if any of that stuff got captured. Um, but there really wasn't anything too negative that I didn't like about the movie. I would say the only thing I really didn't like about the movie is there were several animatronics that were missing, and I don't remember if it's because they were Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the game wise, or if they're doing it like that. Balloon Boy was obviously missing from the movie, but he did show up at the end, so he'll probably be in the sequel. The little puppet box, the little thing that you have to rewind in the games, he wasn't in there, but it did play his song at one point in the game. I mean, in the movie. Um, and I think honestly that was the only ones that were missing. It did show a brief shot of the sister location animatronic, which was because sister location is actually really not that good. Um, but yeah, the nostalgia just from the games alone, it was absolutely incredible. I did love the movie. There wasn't really too much that I didn't like. It wasn't overly long. It didn't overstay its welcome, and it did a lot of things right by that because you don't want something just to drag out forever. The only thing that I'll say I didn't like about the movie, and it had nothing to do with Matthew Lillard, but it was Matthew Lillard. His character was just kind of goofy, and I thought that kind of threw the movie off. Um, I that kind of threw the movie off when he did come in and you found out that he was Springtrap, and I was like, I don't believe him to be a murderer or a psycho, and that was really honestly the only thing that threw it off. So, but overall, it was a great movie. I enjoyed it. It's definitely a must watch. Even if you just watch it once, I've now officially watched it 3 times, and each time I've loved it more than the last. And I think I'm even gonna watch it tonight, Halloween night. So you have to go, okay? I cannot concentrate with you, little buddy. But yeah, it's definitely worth the watch. It did the video games way justice. I can't wait for the sequel. I can only imagine the sequel being better because they're really gonna learn from the mistakes of this one, which for me, it weren't very many mistakes. So I don't know how the critics got off at giving it such low scores. I do believe on Rotten Tomatoes that the fans side is higher than the critic side. So now we're gonna rank it. So what are we giving it here at the Fat Men Gaming? Well, I'm glad you asked because I'm giving the movie a 9 out of 10. Um, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 because it is absolutely a fantastic movie. It did exactly what it needed to do to fill in the blanks that the games didn't give you. The cast was perfect. Josh Hutcherson killed this role. He was absolutely incredible in the movie. The actress, I'm sorry, I don't know their names, that played Vanessa and Abby, fantastic actors. Even the lady that played Jane, his aunt, she was a really great actor. She was such a great actor that you actually really hated her. She made me think of my aunt that I cannot stand, and for that reason, I was just like, yeah, this movie's awesome. But the only thing that would have given made me so I wanted to give it a 10, but I couldn't. The only thing that held me back from giving it a 10 was the missing animatronics. I felt like they could have shored up a couple of things in the story, um, or at least they tried to explain them a little bit better. I also, I guess the other thing that bothered me too was that the animatronics were like overly friendly in some parts, and I was like, no. I wanted it to be more like the game than it was, but at the same time, I didn't hate it for what it was. So that's why it got a 9. And 9 is an incredible score for right here. So yeah, so Five Nights at Freddy's gets a 9 out of 10 from the Fat Man Gaming. So yeah, that's it. So I know this is a shorter one, so it's actually good that it's short because it's just me, and I don't like to ramble. So when I go to edit this, I'll have the trailer on repeat down here so you guys can kind of see something going on down here. And then at the end, I'll post my score so that you guys can see what the score. I'm not going to do that because I always say that I do it. Just know that I gave it a 9. So yeah, but I'll have the trailer playing down here so that you guys can see it. So we'll work that in there somewhere. And then yeah, so um, enjoy your Halloween. Have a happy and safe Halloween, and be prepared for the doom that is November, December. And what I mean by that is Thanksgiving that you got to spend with your family, unfortunately, for some of us. And then Christmas, where our wallets, credit cards, and all that are going to be crying. So, yeah, so enjoy your Halloween. Happy Halloween to all of you from the Fat Man Gaming. And Five Nights at Freddy's is a solid, let's see, a solid 9, guys. We're giving it a 9. Definitely worth the watch. It's on Peacock, $4.99 a month if you don't want to go spend the movie ticket prices, which at this point I really don't blame you. Um, I I would recommend just watching it on Peacock if you could. I wouldn't go to a movie theater unless you really, really want to. It works just fine at home on your small screen, or in my case, 86 LG OLED screen with the Gobi lights behind it. So yeah. So anyways, guys, till next time, this has been Fat Man at the Fat Man Gaming, giving my Five Nights at Freddy's review, and it was a solid 9. And yeah, so go watch Five Nights at Freddy's. Let me know what you guys think down here. You guys know what to do. The comments, the likes, and yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. And yeah, we'll see you guys, and you stay classy.